Welcome to the Ghostly Chronicles. The sleepy town of Eldermist lay nestled at the foot of a towering mountain range, where the trees grew so thick and dark that the sun barely reached the ground. People spoke of it in whispers, and even those who had lived there their entire lives knew better than to venture too far into the surrounding woods. The locals avoided the Hollow of Eldermist, a mysterious patch of forest few had dared enter. It was said that those who ventured too deep would never return, their bodies found days or even weeks later, but their faces twisted into something unrecognizable, as though they had seen the very essence of fear. Nora, an ambitious historian who had always been drawn to the supernatural, arrived in Eldermist on a rainy autumn afternoon. The village was quaint, with cobblestone streets and cottages that looked straight out of a forgotten age. She had heard stories of the Hollow from her late grandfather, who was once a renowned explorer before disappearing without a trace years ago. He had left behind a journal, filled with cryptic entries and strange symbols, hinting at something extraordinary hidden in the Hollow. Nora had made it her mission to uncover the truth. The innkeeper, a burly man named Gregor, eyed her warily as she signed the guest book. "Gregor, you looking to go into the Hollow, miss?" Nora nodded, a mix of excitement and dread filling her chest. "Gregor, be careful. Not many come back the same after they go in. Nora, I can handle it." She had researched the Hollow for years, and now, standing at its edge, she felt an undeniable pull. That evening Nora sat by the fire poring over her grandfather's journal. It was filled with notes about the Hollow, cryptic symbols, detailed descriptions of strange occurrences, and one passage that stood out. Asterisk. The Hollow does not want to be discovered, but if you bring an offering, the veil will part, and the truth will be revealed. The entry was dated just days before he disappeared. Nora set the journal aside, her mind racing with possibilities. She had no idea what the offering was, but she was certain that finding it was the key to uncovering the Hollow's secrets. The next morning she gathered her supplies, an old lantern, a sturdy pack, a map of the surrounding area, and a knife, before heading toward the edge of the woods. The rain had stopped, leaving behind a thick fog that seemed to cling to everything. As she entered the forest, the trees loomed over her like silent sentinels, their twisted branches gnarled and reaching out, almost as though they were watching her every move. The deeper Nora ventured, the quieter it became. There was no sound of birds or animals, just the crunch of leaves underfoot and the occasional snap of a branch. As she walked, the air grew colder, and the fog thickened, swallowing the path behind her. She was certain she had been walking for hours, but the forest seemed endless, stretching on in every direction. Suddenly the trees parted, revealing a small clearing. In the center stood a stone altar covered in vines and moss. Atop it lay an intricate carving of an eye surrounded by symbols she had seen in her grandfather's journal. She approached cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. On the altar was an offering, an old cracked stone jar filled with dark liquid, its surface shimmering as if it were alive. Nora hesitated for a moment before reaching out and placing the jar into her pack. As soon as her fingers brushed against it, a gust of wind tore through the clearing, sending the trees around her into a violent frenzy. The ground beneath her feet rumbled, and the fog thickened, swirling around her like a living thing. In the distance she heard something, a low, guttural sound, like breathing. A figure emerged from the fog. At first, Nora thought it was another person, but as it drew closer, she realized it was something else. Its body was twisted and contorted, its limbs unnaturally long, its skin pale and covered in strange markings. Its eyes, black as coal, locked onto hers. "Creature! You took the offering, you should not have come." Nora's heart raced, but she stood her ground. "Nora, I need to know the truth, I need to understand what happened to my grandfather." The figure tilted its head, its eyes narrowing. "Creature! Your grandfather was not the first to seek the Hollow's secrets. He paid the price, just as you will." With a sudden, unnatural speed, the figure lunged at her, its hands stretching toward her face. Nora barely had time to react before the creature's fingers wrapped around her throat. She gasped for air, struggling to break free, but the creature's grip was like iron. In that moment, Nora realized the truth. The Hollow didn't just take people, it on them. The offering wasn't meant to reveal the truth. It was the price for entry into something far darker, a realm where the dead were bound, their souls trapped in eternal torment. Just as her vision blurred and darkness began to close in, the creature suddenly released her. Nora collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. The figure stepped back, its face now twisted into an expression of something almost regretful. "Creature, you will not leave this place as you were. The Hollow claims all who enter, but you will understand. In time." With that, the creature vanished into the fog, leaving Nora alone in the clearing. She clutched the stone jar tightly, her mind swirling with the knowledge that the Hollow had claimed her, body and soul. Days later, the villagers would find Nora's body, just as they had found her grandfather's. Her face was unrecognizable, twisted in a silent scream of terror. And though they never spoke of it aloud, the villagers knew the Hollow had claimed yet another victim, and somewhere, deep within its fog-choked heart, the truth waited, hidden, waiting for the next fool to enter its grasp. The Hollow of Eldermist would never let anyone leave, not alive, not unchanged. Please like, share, and subscribe.